Today, I wanted to cover something that, we all are using more and more of, right? How you can leverage Copilot with the different Microsoft tools. And I'm going to focus on Power Automate. A little bit about me. I'm Stephanie Marshall. I'm a Power Platform developer and a lead consultant with Quisitive. I co-host a YouTube channel with Superfloof here, where we dive into Power Apps, Power Automate. I also share regular Power Platform updates on my social channels, so please feel free to connect. We're always around, except when it's ski joring season, which we've finally reached up here in Montana. So one of the things is I wanted to get the most out of my time so I could get outside and enjoy it. And that's where we can really leverage this powerful tool that Microsoft has given us, Copilot, to save time. Now, the why is important. Why should we care about Copilot? Why should we care about AI? I have people asking me, since they know I'm in the tech industry, is AI going to cause you to lose your job? And I tell them, no, AI isn't going to replace jobs, but people who know how to use AI will replace those that don't, right? And I have a couple other things in there. I have something from LinkedIn and from Copilot, because of course that he had to get in on it. So change is the new normal, right? Especially with technology moving at lightning speeds. So tools like Copilot and Power Automate can really help us keep pace with everything. Together, they make it easier not just to survive, but to thrive, really thrive in a world of constant change, right? We're turning challenges into opportunities for creativity and growth. The natural language automation, which I'm going to show you here, is really amazing. The seamless integration, right? All of these Microsoft tools just work together. Error resolution. This is something that I had happen to me this week. When I run into problems with code, I usually go to the Google bots or I go to YouTube and watch Shane or Reza. I could not find the solution for something. I went to Copilot, and it just like that gave me exactly what I was looking for, using the natural language and some error resolution. And then, of course, process mining, right? This is a great way to dig through all of the data and really get to what you're wanting. Plus, it's always useful for emails, right? Just going to leave that there for a sec. Okay, so point in case, we have some breaking news. So just this last week, April Dunham posted a video that Plan Designer has been released for public preview in Power Apps. Now, David, I think you have a link to this announcement, but what this means is that you can turn this on, I'm going to show you this in a minute, and then work iteratively for Copilot to create a plan to address your business problems. And I did that for my demonstration today, right? You just put in a prompt and Copilot will help you outline the business problem, map your user needs to your recommendations and tables and apps. So it really built out everything that I needed for this today. This is the prompt I used to create the tables. But before I get into more details, how long, because in the chat, someone was just saying he saved 4 hours. With this prompt, how long do you think it took Copilot to create it created 3 roles, 1 Canvas app, 2 model-driven apps, and 9 Dataverse tables, right? That's what everyone needed as a pop quiz. But, drum roll please, it took a whole 12 minutes, right? So 9 Dataverse tables, all linked. We had lookups, and I'll show you all that here in a minute. 12 minutes, 9 Dataverse tables, 3 Power Apps user experiences. It's pretty impressive stuff. I did a video of the whole process, and I sped up the boring part. So you can watch that on my YouTube channel later if you like. Here's a quick preview of it. So we'll get into that in a minute. Now, Copilot, and Shane Young said it really well, right? You need to find your love language with Copilot. This is one of the prompts that I'm going to show you here in a minute, but Copilot's going to frustrate you. It's going to take a little bit of tweaking, but your love language or the way you talk to Copilot will evolve as you see things differently, right? David likes to do audio effects. I like to do visuals. So here are the hearts again. Speaking of love language, don't forget that tomorrow is Valentine's Day, at least here in the States. I got my hubby some scotchy scotch, but don't tell him that. Okay, let's get into it. So these are the 3 prompts that I used, or that I played with, to really get into what we're going to go over today. So let me stop sharing my screen and pull up, share again, booyah. Okay, So if you want to play with the new designer, you have to come up here to the Power Apps experience and turn it on. And here's the onboarding solution that I created. Give it a sec. Okay, so if I scroll up, I need a way to automate new employee onboarding. So created, and I can zoom out, created the 3 roles, new employee, HR manager, IT support. Then it created a Canvas app for the new employee onboarding, created HR onboarding, model-driven, and IT support onboarding, model-driven. Gives us all of the details here of the personas and 9 Dataverse tables. And I can click here and show details, and it'll pull up for us all the tables with all the connections. So 12 minutes got me training modules, training completion, new employees, all of this fun stuff. So let's get into, one thing I want to cover as I go back. Copilot is kind of a moving target. You see here that it has placeholders for the flows, right? But if I hover just right, recommended flows can't be created yet. Check back for future updates. So let's build it since Copilot can't for us. So I'm going to open up Flow and learn a love language. So the first prompt that I used was this one. Okay. And this, hopefully it's quick today. I did record this so we can speed it up if it takes too long. Okay, so this gave us a start. It's close, pretty close, but I wanted to give it to you 3 ways. So here's the second one, a Power Automate. Create a Power Automate flow that triggers when a new employee is added to a Dataverse table. Okay, not even close to what we're wanting, but what I wanted to show you is if you get rid of Power Automate in the prompt, we get a completely different response. And I know this because I read the Cliff Notes. So when a row is added or modified, send an email, list rows, send an email. Now, if I wanted to, I could get other options just from this one. So we have all sorts of options here. So it's not quite the prompt that I want. So we're going to use this one here today because Copilot is a moving target, right? Things change on a daily basis. I'm going to take, well, yeah, we will use this one. Okay, so there we go. Almost right. So I'm going to click next. It grabs my connections. I'm going to create the flow. Now, when it first loads, we're going to get invalid parameters, and that's okay because Power Automate tried to fill out things for us here, and it's not exactly right. So what we want to do is when an item is added to our new employee table, so added, which table? And I've got a bunch of tables, but I can just type new employee, and there it is. We don't want scope. Again, Copilot was trying to help me, but what we really want here is organization. Now, once a new employee gets added, look at what Copilot's done for us. It's even started building out the emails. Now, I recorded this just because Copilot is a work in progress. Let's see here. I went to Copilot and I said, let's build out the email a little bit more, right? Can you add to the email body something about who to contact in HR? Now, I was recording all this in case Copilot decided not to work today. And in one screen, what you see on the right is what I got. And on the other screen, I got a completely different response. And this is what it gave me on the 2 screens. So this is where that love language that Shane Young talks about is really coming into play. If you don't get what you want right away, try something else. Try it differently. Because eventually, you 2 are going to be talking the same language. So get out of there. So it tried to give me a 2-body email, but that I know from experience that's not going to work. So we can come to the lightning bolt. And what we really want is the email that's added by HR when someone's added to the system. And if we hover over these 2 options, get a row by ID is where this one is pulled from. Not what we want. We probably want to make this a little friendlier. Welcome. Who are we welcoming? We're going to go back to the lightning bolt and grab the first name of the employee. Now, something I always like to do on these emails for plausible deniability is add in this. This is an automated email. So then people can't Well, when they reply to it, because you know they're going to reply to it, and they say, well, you didn't tell me. Well, there you have some coverage saying, yeah, I really did. And this is going to be send an email, always annotate or make notes here so your coworkers don't hate you. Send an email to new employee. Now, because we're using the new experience, I can drag this and move it up here, but this isn't what we want, right? We want this to be not get a row by ID, because there could be multiple softwares that the IT person is going to need to send to the person. So the first part of this flow is going to be send a message to the employee, welcoming them. And then the second part, which I think I forgot to tell you at the start, sorry about that, is we're going to send an email to IT with all of the software that the employees are going to need. So let's go to the Copilot, because get a row by ID is going to give us one row. We want to get all of the softwares that the employee might need. So if we look at these tables and we go back to our data plan and software access, and here we can view the data right from the GUI interface. So for our different employees, they have different software accesses that they're going to need. So we want to go out and look at this table and figure out which employee needs which software. So I'm going to go back to the Copilots, and instead of using a get a row by ID, because that's going to be a one-to-one and we want one-to-many, let's ask Copilot. Let's change get a row to list rows. And there it did it for me. It did a little bit of other funkiness, but that's why you annotate your stuff. We want this one to be first, we want this one to be here, and then we want this one down here. Perfect. So now we have to reconnect everything, and you see we have invalid connection. That's because you have to come down here and reconnect your account to this. So don't panic. My first rule of this is don't panic. We'll figure it out. New employee, no, this is going to be software. Software accesses. Now we want to filter the information from software by the employee's name, the one that was added, right? So let's go back to the Copilots, because we want to do an OData filter query. We don't want to get everything. We just want to get the software for this employee. So to the Copilots. And if this doesn't work, I have a video to show you what it should give us, because it's going to look at your data structure and tell you how you should do it. So let me pull up this here, because here it told us the overall of how to do it. Now, one thing I want to show you is if we go back to our data structure and I pull software access up here by new employee and we click on it, this is a lookup column. So from employee first name to software access, that's a lookup column. So OData filter queries can be a little tricksy here. So let me pull up the video, because I did get it to give me exactly what I wanted, even with the columns. So whoop, where did that go? Come back. There. Well, it's not pausing for me, but anyway, it did give us the columns that we needed specifically from my data tables. And I did record the whole thing of this, so you can go watch that on YouTube if you're feeling sporty. But we're going to come in, and I have the code over here. We're going to filter our lookup column by the first name. And then we want that to equal, and you have to use single tick marks here, the first name of the employee that was added. And then we want to send an email. But before we send an email, right, so we're going to have multiple softwares in here, right? Now, if we don't do another step, we're going to have the send an email in a for all loop, because there's multiple softwares that an individual employee could have. So let's add a variable. And when you're creating variables, you're going to initialize the variable first. Before you can use it, you have to initialize it. So we're going to call this var software. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to add it up here, because you always want to annotate these so your coworkers don't hate you. And now what we want to do is add everything from the list rows into that variable. So I did go to the Copilot for this, and Let's see here. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So let's just ask it, add a append to string variable at the end. See if it works today. Hey, moving target. So it added a scope action. Now scopes are great because you can collect everything, but that's not quite what we want, and that's okay. It's a love language, it's a work in progress. And what doesn't work today may work tomorrow. So I'm just going to add a variable, append a string. And what are we going to append a string here? We're going to append a string our variable. Now, what do we want this to say, right? We want to grab in what we're going to put in the email. So we're going to start with some CSS or HTML. So strong is vernacular for bold. So we're going to have the software name. And what is the software? We're going to go back here to list rows. Oh, invalid connection. Change connection, go back. Software accesses. We happy now? Okay, we're good. Okay, so paste that back in. And so the software is going to be from that. If we hit see more, we've got a bunch of stuff here, but what we really want is the name of the software, and you can just filter it by that. Now, back to the Copilot, because if we look at our software access table, and I'll pull it over here for us, there is a date that the employee needs to have this software by. So we're going to want to put that in the email to IT so they know they have a deadline. So back to the Copilot, because if I just put the date in there from the table, it's going to give us the date and the Zudo time and all that fun stuff. Check this out. If I go to formula, we have Copilot integrated into every part of this. Remember how I said it's all integrated? Here we go. So let us, I want it to be the month, day, year format. And you could do whatever you wanted there. And what I love is, check this out. It gave me 3 options. It looked at the tables that I've already added to this flow and pulled in the options, the created on date, the now date, or the body created on date. Now, again, Copilot is a little bit inconsistent because what we actually want is the access date, and that's okay. This will give us the bones of what we want, right? That's the meat and potatoes of it. So what we can do is come in here, just delete that, and now go to dynamic content. And what we actually want is the access date. And there it is right there. So click add. You'll notice it added it to a for all loop for me, or a for each loop for me. And then here we have the email. Copilot has again helped us out. It's like, okay, there's the email address of the IT department from the data tables that I've given them. Not what we're going to use in this instance, but it's so helpful, right? So the subject line is new employee onboarding. Let's leave this part and look. Please ensure the following software is set up. I didn't tell it to do any of this. Y'all saw that, right? So let's do a hard return in here. And what we actually want to do, a new employee has been added. Who is the new employee? Go back to the lightning bolt. We want to do first name. And when a row is added, first name. And let's do last name. And then personally, I don't know about y'all, but there could be 15 John Smiths in your organization. I always like to put an email in there. So there's their email address. Please ensure the following software is set up. Now we can just leverage our variable, and it'll put in there everything that we need. And then our little disclaimer. Now, because this triggers off of a flow or off of a new employee being added, I have one, I forgot to pull that up, I'm sorry, but let me.
And hey, Steph, while you're pulling that up, just a real quick time check for us for
I'm done.
For the well,
I'm absolutely done. That was it. I was just going to show you the emails that come in and say, hey, you know, this is successful. And I was going to show that in the flow, it'll give you the little green circles showing that everything worked. But that was it. Here's the email. Let me pull it up. And I am done. Todd, the floor is yours. I did do a full recording in case everything decided to go sideways on me today that I'll post to my YouTube channel. If you want to see the whole thing, have at it. Any questions? I'll be in the chat after this.